Here's what's making news now around Indiana, brought to you by your Indiana Pacers. Well, Governor Eric Holcomb used his third State of the State address to unveil a plan to increase teacher pay. He called on legislators to use money from the state's reserves to pay off pension liabilities in a move he says will save local schools about $140 million over the next 2 years and more in following years. He wants school districts to, quote, allocate 100% of the $140 million to increasing teacher paychecks. Evansville-based Old National Bancorp CEO Bob Jones plans to retire in May after 14 years with the bank. Chief Financial Officer Jim Ryan, who has been with Old Nat since 2000, will succeed Jones as CEO. Bob Jones will continue to serve as Old National's chairman of the board through January of 2020. Well, developers joined Terre Haute and Vigo County leaders for the first public unveiling of specific plans for a convention center there. The $25 million project will be a two-story building with ballroom, conference room, and Larry Bird Museum. It will also feature a hotel and 2 parking garages. And the massive $440 million Electric Works mixed-use innovation district in downtown Fort Wayne is adding a recreational component. The developer of the project says Sport Wayne, Inc. has signed a letter of intent to design and open a climbing gym and adventure park at the former General Electric campus. Well, 5 years ago, Purdue University set out to beef up its commercialization efforts, and it seems as though the proof is in the pudding. The school is this week touting 223 startups with more than $350 million in funding investments generated, as well as more than 300 new jobs. For more on Purdue's robust entrepreneurial pipeline, let's chat now with Purdue Foundry Senior Vice President of Entrepreneurship and Placemaking, Greg Deason. As always, Greg, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Greg.
I mentioned 5 years ago. I think these numbers represent a kind of a change in culture. Martin Jiske years ago, going way back to 2000, I think he brought to the university this focus on innovation and entrepreneurship. Mitch Daniels' arrival really laser focused on commercialization and getting some of these ideas from the university into real companies.
Yeah, that is exactly how it's played out, and so exciting. When Mitch arrived as our president, he really challenged us and said we can make this exponentially better. And to do so, we created some new resources like the Purdue Foundry, but we also created some opportunity through policy and changes that way, just making it easier for people to get access to our technology. We want to see those technologies in the hands of those that they can benefit.
All right, let's talk about those numbers. 223 startups, a huge number, and of those 223, about 130 the result of Purdue innovation, Purdue intellectual property.
Yeah, so we every year we have a lot of new ideas disclosed, and those become patents. I think last year we had about 130 of those. But those patents then can be licensed, and that's what's happened here. These 130 have taken those ideas that were once in the minds of a faculty member or a student, and they've now licensed those to be a principal asset of their company. And I think we think about Purdue and the impact it can make. That is the ultimate, to see some idea ultimately get into the hands of the user, to create happier, healthier, longer lives and some great jobs.
A great example of what can happen. Doesn't happen all the time, deals this big, but Endocyte, the cancer delivery company, sold last year for I think it was $2.1 billion. Huge.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you see something like that that happens, that is a hugely impactful event. Not only does that mean that they had it right in terms of the value they were creating with the technology, but I think it inspires these other companies. You look at these other 223, they are looking at that and saying, we can too. And I think we'll also just tap the experience of that team that led Endocyte. It turns out they're working on other things as well, and we're going to see impact there.
All right, let's look forward now as we wrap up the Discovery Park District, $1 billion plus investment, huge, and that obviously directly impacts what we're talking about here.
Well, it does. I think we want to be a place where the most creative, most talented people want to live, work, and play, and that Discovery Park District is going to provide just that opportunity. We've got new buildings coming online that are under construction to make it possible for those things to happen and to make it possible for the next generation to take their ideas to impact.
All right, big numbers at Purdue University in the startup world, 223 startups and a lot more potentially on the way. Greg Deason, as always, great to have you on the show. Look forward to talking to you soon.
Thanks so much.
All right.